Hello, and welcome to season 4 of Right in Front of My Face podcast. I am your host, Shannon Hull. And yes, I know I've been on an extended break, but I am so happy to be back. And I'm even more excited to present the lineup of interviews this season. I admit it, season 3 got a little heavy. I found myself literally dragging around trying to mom, find joy, stay educated, and do all the things. And I realized that I wasn't doing any of them well. I'm probably still not. But I found myself, and still do, getting bogged down in the weight of the last 2 years and tend to feel like I'm walking through mud. But what I realized is that there are people, a lot of them as it turns out, who also feel this way, but who have managed to pull themselves through their burnout, out of their grief, and away from these circumstances to achieve some really incredible things and help the world at large be better. I decided that maybe focusing on this would pull me out of my own funk and help me to get inspired. And boy, was I right. So this is the focus of season 4, life pivots and success during COVID. I received a birthday gift last year of some beautiful home cleaning products. They're plant-based, they're packaged like they're straight from a W hotel, and they smell what I think a Paris apartment would smell like. My friend who gave me the gift said, "This is Kristi and Lindsay's new company," and my jaw dropped. I was holding a product completely designed and manufactured during a period of time where I'd been barely hanging on by 2 people that I know. The pride and sheer unadulterated respect I felt for these women was overwhelming. There are so many people who have, despite the horrific circumstances of the pandemic, managed to become better versions of themselves and managed to carve out a path to success, even in light of some of the most difficult struggles we've all faced. These are the people I want to hear from. I realized after these 10 conversations this season that the beauty in this struggle is being able to come out better from it. The 10 individuals featured this season have done just that. And I couldn't kick off this celebration of spirit with 2 more beautiful human beings than Kristi Lord and Lindsay Droz, founders of Levant Collective. As I said, Kristi and I are in similar circles of friends. We know lots of mutual people, we're friendly, but I didn't quite realize what she'd been up to until I received this birthday gift. Levant products shouldn't necessarily be anything special. I mean, they're cleaning products. They're plant-based, they don't use toxins, everything I've never actually wanted in a product, but it's a cleaning product. Then I tried it. The stuff really works. Like to the point where you notice how well it works and then you start to use it all the time. And then you start calling cleaning Levanting, and then your kids want to use the wipes to clean their rooms because it smells so good. And then they start cleaning everything, your car, their shoes, because this miracle of a product is so wonderful. Not only that, but as I followed their social media, I noticed that they were slowly taking over places in celebrity homes. They were now in the most exclusive shops in LA. They were featured as a part of Goop's Christmas list, and now they are also best friends with Gwyneth Paltrow. One reason is because of their obviously beautiful products working amazingly well, but the other reason is because the 2 owners of this company believe in each other. Their relationship is the only thing more beautiful than their packaging. The respect and admiration they have for each other shines clearly in this conversation, as does their wit and their resilience. I am so proud to kick this season off with Kristi and Lindsay. They are a prime example that COVID didn't stop the hustlers. It's not every day that I have the C-suite of a company sitting in my house, and it's very exciting, and I am super honored that you guys carved time out of your busy schedules to be with me this morning. I have Kristi Lord and Lindsay Droz, the CFO, CEO, president, all the things. Founders of Levant Collective, which is an incredible plant-based cleaning product company that I have to admit I use. I am a huge fan of. And I will cop to the fact that, Kristi, you are right in front of my face as we know each other. We are in similar circles and have had a wild weekend in Las Vegas together.
Yes, we did.
But while we were having that wild weekend, I didn't realize what was kind of cooking under the surface with you and Lindsay. creating this company, which has now been featured in People magazine. You are in the Goop gift guide. You are Gwyneth Paltrow's best friends. You're going to her Christmas party.
A BFF necklace.
How do you decide
always remember us?
Who gets the third half?
It's great. You know what? They're now in trios. We gave her the bigger part.
So welcome to the podcast, you two.
Thanks for having us.
Literally could not be more honored. I have kind of a formula that I use for introductions. So I want to go through your backgrounds a little bit. And then I want to talk about your company. And then it's time to really get emotional. And you're both going to cry. And it's going to be great.
Awesome.
Great.
Can't wait.
I'm really good at crying.
So because I don't do as good of a job as you two do. Lindsay, can you give me, tell the people what Levant Collective is about?
You know, Levant Collective was born after Kristi and I basically had kids. You know, initially what happened was Kristi's, I'll let you speak for yourself on that part, but I was pregnant with my first child and mopping the floor one day, and I looked at the back of the label and it said that you can't use if you had animals because they'd either lick their paws or it'd absorb into their paws. The cleaning products would. But there was no warning label for the baby that I was about to have that was going to be crawling all over the floor. So I really started dabbling in plant-based cleaning products at that point and realized that there was a lot more room for growth in that area from a performance standpoint, from an aesthetic standpoint, and really started my journey in learning more about the chemicals and the toxins that we brought into our homes and how we could get better.
So I want to break in just and say one thing that I feel like is really important for the audience to know that I feel like you both downplay a little bit. You were both very successful businesswomen going in, right?
Correct.
Lindsay, you were a boss in medical device sales.
Yeah.
Kristi, you're a wealth manager.
Correct.
So I just want to kind of give the framework that you two are not just, moms with a great idea and a dream. Like you are business-minded people who kind of had this idea, saw an opening and took it. So I think that's important to note is that you were pregnant, but also
I was working.
You were super successful.
Full-time working person at that point. And really, initially, it was just not even a hobby. It was just trying to find something better for my home and the kids that were going to be, obviously in my house. And I have 3 kids now. Kristi also does as well. And we just wanted to find products that actually worked. So the journey began of again, we were macerating. Kristi and I changed vinegar smells, trying to figure out how we could get the nasty smell of vinegar off of out of our house. We started DIYing cleaning products. But again, we were both working, had full-time jobs that we were equal income earners in our family. So we couldn't leave our jobs at that point. So it took, there were many, many years of wine, and we didn't have the Vegas filled nights like you guys did, but we had some nice and naughty nights.
Yeah. And it does stem back to kids. I never thought about what I was bringing into the home until I had kids. And all of a sudden you're like, this particular cleaning product doesn't smell good. It doesn't feel good on my skin. And babies are so sensitive. So I would clean my counters and then I would wipe them down with water because they're eating off the counter and I didn't want the chemicals to be absorbed into their food. But it was when my second son developed eczema that I started the journey into researching what was inside these products that were causing all the inflammation in his skin. And around that same time, we had just remodeled our kitchen. And I wanted everything to be beautiful in the kitchen and everything to, all these other aesthetic things are on the market that you can bring into your home that look beautiful, except for cleaning products. And so I was putting them in glass bottles and making my own little cute labels. I'm like, why do I have to go to all these different ways to make something look beautiful? Because you're either hiding it because it's ugly or it's toxic. And I always wanted to start my own business. And so, we wanted passion. Lindsay and I talked about it. For me, I'm a numbers person. I'm finance. I come from investments and finance and accounting, and I always wanted to start my own business. And I manifested that when in my 20s. I constantly was saying, I want to have my own business. I want to be my own boss. I want to run something, develop something, but I knew I needed passion, and I needed a kick-ass business partner as well to complement the skills that I wasn't strong in. and that's in the sales and the marketing side. And it wasn't until later on in life that you're okay with the things you're not good at. You know, I tried to be all those things and pushed myself out of the comfort zone in areas that I wasn't great at, and it made me very unhappy. And so I wanted to feel like an equal partner in something, and that my skill set was valued, that I brought to the table, but also truly value everything that Lindsay brings to the table as well, and see it as so important. But both sides are equally important. So I knew she was going to be my business partner when I met her. Mm-hmm. She's just like, there's just like something something in the universe that brought us together. And we talked about all kinds of things, but a lot of things that didn't spark joy or any interest in us, they felt forced, the ideas. But around cleaning products and making pretty cleaning products was something that we were having fun with and we enjoyed. And we're not perfect. And we're not asking anybody to be perfect in their journey of using safer products. So that was also important for us too. It's like, let's just try this. And so there were this was 4 years ago. We came up with this idea and we launched 1 year ago. So we can dive into that too, but it was a long journey to get to where we are today.
Well, for sure. And I think, the really important thing that I think about with this story is how many people have an idea, but they don't want a business, right? Whereas I'm hearing you guys kind of describe it a little bit backwards, where you're like, we wanted a business, but we didn't know what that was going to be.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point. Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So I will say that I have to address your corporate profiles for a little bit on LevantCollective.com because they are the best corporate. I've never seen anybody put their Enneagram on
that
a
was
corporate
all
profile.
Kristi. That was all Kristi.
Yes. It's so good. So I'm a 3.
I love it. Great.
And so I was like,
fascinated with Enneagram.
Yeah. I am too.
And I read 3 all the time because I don't need to learn about me. I need to learn about how she thinks. And so reading how a 3 thinks and processes information and moves through the world helps me understand and be a better business partner for her.
You guys,
that's really sweet.
I mean, that was just
wow, that was romantic.
Dude, she sees you, Lindsay.
She does. Oh my God.
You can't force somebody into a pet. Like, she thinks very differently than I do. Mm-hmm. And I think when you're young and you're in the professional world and you work a certain way and you expect everybody to work the same way as you, but when you realize that their brains operate differently, they see the world differently, they see problem solving differently, and just understand who they are, and then you can come to the plate a little bit better. But anyways, I digress.
I think what you're saying is a very incredible thing and a very female way to approach finding a business partner. Mm-hmm. And I respect the hell out of it because there's something else in the corporate profile, Lindsay, that you wrote, where you said I never needed to be the smartest person in the room, but I was always smart enough to sit next to them. Yeah, and I totally feel like that is something that I want to start.
I'm sitting next to her.
Exactly,
I'm sitting next to her.
Exactly, but you picked each other in that way, and so that's kind of where I want to go. So you both have really successful careers. You find each other, you're kicking around ideas, you find one that you're both pretty passionate about. Knowing what I know about starting a business, this is not easy. Mm-hmm. So you're finding smart people, but the number one thing that I feel like most people have a hard time doing is asking for help. Mm-hmm. I want to hear a little bit about kind of when you decided to start the business and how you decided not only to ask for funding, but to start asking for help.
I feel like the asking for help has been our entire journey.
Mm-hmm. We have no problem asking for help.
Not at all. I mean, that was the one thing that Kristi and I would not be here today without the incredible people that said yes to us. And ultimately, I mean, in sales, there's if you never ask, the answer is always no. But if you do ask, the answer 50-50 is yes and no. And for us, it was most of the time yes, that they'd meet with us, that we could ask questions. Initially, so Kristi and I actually funded this business ourselves. We did not take on any fundraising up until this point. And just recently, we took our first round of fundraising. Wow. So we bootstrapped this entirely. And, I was just talking with someone about this the other day they said, how did you financially do this. And essentially a couple of years before I left my job, my husband and I started putting my salary away. We started pretending that I didn't have a job and didn't have income. So we had to make adjustments. We had to travel less. We had to adjust our grocery shopping and car lifestyle and just any type of lifestyle in general, and really started moving forward as if I didn't have a job.
So you committed years before this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we did. And so that money that I was putting away was towards the business. Cause I knew that at some point that she was the right person for me. We found the art and science and it worked really, really well together. And I knew that this was going to be something. So started saving really early on.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. And she worked full time up until about a
February.
year before we launched.
Yeah, that's correct.
I look back on the journey over the last 4 years, and I probably left my job a little too early. I'm very goal oriented. And so like literally 4 years ago in January, we went to Cabo for like 3 days to just like dream and journal and just talk and think. And I was like, well, okay. So I built the plan out for December of 2018 that we would launch. And every year we thought we were going to launch in that year. And so for me, I was, I felt a little bit too pulled in too many directions between my old job and Levant. So I left probably 2.5 years before we launched. I wouldn't recommend that. But that's okay.
But do you feel like that was valuable for giving you the space to plan?
Yes.
I mean, do you think you might have gotten distracted had it not been that early?
I'm a pretty intense, like goal and oriented person. And so
you were building your house though.
And I was building the house. There's a lot of other things going on that would have distracted us. And then COVID hit too. So that was really that little tiny thing. So there was a lot of factors that went into why we didn't launch. I wouldn't have it any other way. There was so much learning that had to happen. Sure. I mean, we were babies 4 years ago in this concept and idea. And the amount of people that we met along the way that has helped us, offered advice, or just counseled with us or consulted with us, we wouldn't have had all that time.
Yeah.
And now we kind of figure things out, and we know the marching orders as far as how do we launch a product and how long it's actually going to take.
So let's go back. You're self-funded, which is absolutely amazing, because when you start making money, it's actually yours, which is the real beauty of it.
Yeah.
And then, so you have this money, you start to spend it. Now, I've heard in another interview, you're like, yeah, we found the world's leading clean scientist. Do you Google? Like, how do you find these people?
Didn't you say you found her like on the 10th page of Google? Like, who goes past the first page?
Yes,
she does.
So you literally Google.
So Kristi knows, like, I rabbit hole things. I will spend hours researching something because it fills my bucket.
Yeah.
I like to self-teach myself stuff, so I like to research as well. But with the chemist, we didn't even know what the chemist was called. So turns out they're called formulators or a formulation chemist. And ultimately we found that out. And then this particular person I found on the 10th page of Google, and then found her on LinkedIn. And she was at a large company that did green cleaning products, very well known. And she basically went off the grid for a while after some changes in that company. And I think I sent her about, 3 or 4 messages on LinkedIn. She didn't get back to me. And finally she did. And we begged her for a call. And when she started talking with us, she loved what we were doing. And we asked her, what do you wish you could have done at that previous company that you weren't able to do? And she said, I wanted to make plant-based or non-toxic cleaning products that actually worked and worked really well. But in order to do that, you have to spend money to put good ingredients inside the bottle. So there's a reason why some cleaning products cost $3, $4, $5. Yeah. And there's a reason why ours cost more. It's not because we want to charge more. It's because we actually do put ingredients in there that are good for environment, good for your home, safe. We have 100% natural fragrance. And we put all this goodness in one bottle. And then, oh, by the way, we had it tested against the conventional cleaners and made sure that it outperformed them, or at least met those standards of like the blue stuff or the green stuff or whatnot. So it was really important for us to have her on our team. So we had her create formulas for us. So we own them. It's not like we just slapped a label on something and said, we hope this works.
Yeah.
But that's also plays to your savvy as well. And I have to say that I have in my notes, are you ladies just the best cold callers in the world?
Oh.
And I actually think you might be.
I have about 20 years of cold calling practice in sales. You learn really quickly that you don't want to be a burden to someone. No one wants to be sold to. So that's not the journey. It's about, is this a relationship that maybe we could move forward with? That's sales. Is this a relationship that both parties want to be a part of? Because if there's only one party that is, it's never going to work. So cold calling is you just, you put a smile on your face, you be gracious, and you be curious. And that's what we've been. This entire process has been curious.
Yeah. And when I look back on our first call with our chemist, and I think I underestimated.
Can you give her a shout out?
Oh, Heather, we love
she's
you.
She's amazing.
She's
Heather.
She's amazing. The
she's
universe.
A goddess.
Yeah. The universe.
She speaks to our plants I'm not joking. People will feel her energy out of these plants. It gets a little woo-woo. But we're really not that woo-woo, but we're woo-woo with this formula. It works and you feel it. You feel the energy. And she really, these formulations come to her and she's a goddamn genius.
She is, but we didn't know how much at the time. So, and then what she was telling us when she heard our pitch, she said, I believe in this and the world needs this. Mm-hmm. And it's your idea. So you're like, yeah, totally. Mm-hmm. The world totally needs this. But like based on what she knows and where she comes from and her background, it has so much power for me now that she believed in what we were saying and wanted to create this. And we gave her we had a no list of the ingredients we didn't want in it, but then we just gave her like, create something, like let's put budget aside, like what would you create? And she created these formulas for us, and she's now working on some new ones for us coming up. And she's totally part of this journey. Yeah.
And she find out sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, she walked us and she held our hand in that first year. She introduced us to the fragrance house. She introduced us we didn't know what a co-packer was. Those are the people that blend and put it in the bottle. She introduced us to that. She introduced us to consultants on different areas that we were needing help on.
Packaging.
I mean, she, not only did she create the formulas, she held our hand through that first year and a half. And we're so blessed to have that.
That's amazing. So you find Heather, the goddess chemist,
yes.
And I love that it's another woman.
Yes.
Yeah, we do too.
And so you get this formula. She points you in the direction of the packaging, because your artwork and your packaging
that's our other goddess.
That's
Katie Forner.
Yeah, Katie Forner out of LA. Look her up. We found her on Pinterest. She made a kombucha bottle, and we used that as our inspiration that we actually tried to copy initially. Yeah. We had a whole nother business name called Clean as Everything. That was the name of the brand. And we found Katie on, I tried to copy, because I know Photoshop enough to be dangerous at it, and copied her designs. And then one day I showed a girlfriend of mine who was a graphic artist, and I said, what do you think, this great design? I didn't tell her that I did it. She's like, did you do this? She knew immediately. And I look back on that, because when we went to Katie Forner and she came up with this beautiful concept for her, I see why that person said that. What Katie does is a fucking art. And
it truly is.
And she's blown up, not because of us, but she's blown up in this journey. So for the 3 years we've been with her, she does the SAG Awards now. She has massive brands, and Levant is become one of her growing brands as well. And it's such a dream to work with her.
And she keeps us on track too. She'll ping us and tell us if we're off brand.
Yes, she will. She's like, you're getting a little cutesy, girls.
That's amazing. Yeah. To have that backup.
Yeah. It is.
Hey everybody, John Gruss with Element Mortgage here again, and we're still dealing with a pretty crazy real estate market, especially on the lending side. Interest rates are still incredibly low. So if you have not had an opportunity to refinance your current home yet, what are you waiting for? Rates are great. Reach out to us. We'll be happy to provide you your options. Secondarily, our homes are all increasing in value. Great chance to potentially tap into some of that equity by utilizing a cash out refinance option. Again, the rates are still incredibly low on that, and you've got an opportunity to tap into the equity for either home improvements, maybe some debt consolidation, whatever that additional cash may be beneficial for. Last, if you're buying a home, you've probably seen the news. It's crazy out there. The market is hot. What's going to be incredibly important is that you have a lender that can help you navigate this process by explaining what's going on, how to strategically position your offer so that it's accepted in a market where sellers are getting multiple offers on properties. And at Element Mortgage, we're happy to do that. We're licensed in 49 states. Sorry, New York. Unfortunately, we're not able to assist, but please reach out to me, John, Jon.Gruss, Grus, at elementmortgage.com or 206-954-4787. John Gruss, NMLS number 1108421. Element Mortgage is a division of American Pacific Mortgage, NMLS number 1850, equal housing opportunity.
Everything you've said, so you find art, then as I am sitting here looking at my notes, I'm looking at your 3 core values, which I love a good value statement.
Love it.
Elevated aesthetics, high performance, and a collective. Everything that you have said rings back to those 3 values. I mean, clearly those are important to you. Can you tell me how you distilled all of this down to those 3 things?
Yeah, I think I'll speak to elevated. We really, as Kristi mentioned earlier, we had a hard time finding products that looked good in the house. And I don't have a gorgeous kitchen like Kristi does. She's got this beautiful open concept. Mine is just very traditional kitchen, but I still want something pretty to look in on my counters. I don't want a ugly blue plastic bottle sitting on the counter.
Right.
So I struggled with finding, olive oil bottles that you could pour contents into. And so we really wanted something to not just look like a cleaning product, but look like it was a part of your home. So that was super important to us from that standpoint.
Yeah. And then, there's the performance side. We knew it had to work. So if you're going to change somebody's habits of, grabbing a $2 or $3 product off the shelf and ask them to spend a little bit more, and it's going to be a green cleaner. That was our issue with the ones that were on the market, is like, we're feeling we're having to use more product to get it to work, or, bring in the other stuff when you had a bigger job. So the performance had to be there if people were going to spend more money on the product. And then the collective piece of it really comes to, we want to create products that everybody in the home wants to use. And it's not just a woman's job to clean. And we have husbands who fully help out, and they're cleaning, and our kids help out. And so how do we create products? We care about our homes. We teach our kids to care about your home. You care about the world, the environment. So those are conversations you can have while you're using products that are safe for them to use, right? So it's about bringing everybody under the fold of, we care about the things that we spend money on, and this is a safe place for you to be. And so that's the collective piece of Levant.
I will speak to that from a personal experience. Levanting is a verb in our house.
Yay.
To levant was to clean, but it's not cleaning anymore.
Yeah, I love it. Well, it's interesting. I'll speak to what Kristi was saying on performance, or I'll add to what you said, which is, you ask people, why do you not think of plant-based cleaners? Why do you not use them? And the first response is, well, they don't work. And we wanted to change that perception that you can find a plant-based cleaner that works as well as, if not a little bit better. So that's why we did a bunch of third-party testing against conventional, not just plant-based cleaners. We did it against the 409s, the Dawns, the Palmolives, all of those. And currently right now we're doing laundry testing. And which is so incredible. So it was really important to us to say, prove that they can work just as well. And you don't have to give up performance to make that compromise to be safer in your house.
So I will say this, and I say this in all honesty. I hear you guys talk about like you wanted non-toxic for your babies. I'm sitting here like, I freaking love the smell of bleach.
Yeah.
It just like there's something. So for me,
It's like my husband. I
actually got gifted my first set of Levant cleaning products. I was like, oh, well, give this a go.
Bougie.
It literally works better than anything else I use.
Right.
I have the wipes in my car because
Yeah.
I wipe down my car. I use it all the time and it works on windows. It works on, so
It's not amazing.
I'm a total convert.
Oh.
Love
And
it.
you are kind of like, I'm like, oh, I probably should have cared about this all along. A little.
You didn't have a reason. Nothing really worked as well.
But nothing really worked as
So,
well.
Funny little story about those wipes. So last week we had the opportunity to meet
boy.
with our bestie, Gwyneth Paltrow.
I feel like you need to.
Well, we'll
I
talk
feel
a
like
little
you
bit-
need to talk more about that. But I like
she's
how you
incredible. So we can go back to like people that have helped us. She's been great, but she spilled teriyaki sauce on her pants, and we had some wipes with us, and we said, Gwyneth, use one of these wipes. Just wipe down your pants. She's like, the wipes, the cleaning wipes? And I said, yes, just do it. So she does it. Kristi starts getting a video because it just caught us off guard. And she stopped at the point when Gwyneth said, this is fucking amazing. It fucking works. And then she sent us an email this past week. She sent us an email a couple days. She's got this. I don't even remember her quote, but it was
She
so
said,
good.
Yeah, she said like, "What the fuck about these wipes?"
Yeah, what the fuck? Unbelievable. She's like, watch out, stain sticks. So when we say multi-purpose, we mean multi-purpose. They work.
Upholstery, clothes, pre-stain treatment on clothes.
Mr. Sketch pens off of leather chairs. I don't know that I have experience with that. Maybe I do, but works really well.
It definitely works on pencil on closet doors.
Oh wow!
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
it works on everything.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm rewinding because I want to stay in sequence. So
Yes.
you find your Kristi is your art.
Katie
Katie
Corner.
Corner.
Katie is your art. So you find Katie, you get this thing launched. How do you go through distribution? Where are you putting this stuff? I mean, is this in your garage? Where, because this is, I mean, it's a lot of bottles. It's a lot of stuff. Where
Yeah.
does it all go?
Yeah.
Thank you,
and-
COVID.
yeah.
And also like, I'm super interested in like how this actually felt for you, like in your body
yeah.
when you saw your first shipment.
Yeah. It was pretty magical. So that's 2020 is the year we launched, right? So we met
shipments.
with our co-packer in February, right before COVID hit. We had signed with them. We were all excited. And then COVID hits. And then the whole world needs cleaning products and needs bottles and trigger spares and pumps. And we're kind of in the back of the line to get our components. So, again, we wanted to launch earlier than December of 2020, but, we just got in line and we're like, it's going to happen when it's going to happen. We in August of 2020, Lindsay was touring spaces for home pod for her kids to go to, that she had
A learning pod.
Yeah, a little
Correct.
learning pod. And the space that her kiddos, her first grade daughter was going to be in looked like it was a big space. And because again, it was an empty office space because everybody had left the building. And so she pitched the gal and was like, hey, could Kristi and I come and work in this area that you're not using? And they said yes. And for basically like paying the light bill, because we were like, okay, we're going to take Kristi's garage. We're going to get a storage unit. We're going to
Find a warehouse.
We're going to pack and ship out of my basement.
Yeah.
Like we'll do whatever we have to do. But we didn't have any concept of what if 13 pallets of product look like? Oh, we could probably get that in our garage.
Yeah.
When that showed up in November, I was like, holy shit. I'm so glad this is that would never have fit in our garage. So we were able to fit all of our inventory in this extra space that was empty because of COVID, but also like to back up in August, there were some stores that had closed. Retail stores were closing and going all online. And so Lindsay I called her up. I'm like, oh my God, Pier 1 over in Bellevue is closing. Like maybe they have some shelves or some extra paper or something. And Lindsay's like, I'm getting a U-Haul. So I'm like, okay. So I go over there. An hour later, here comes Lindsay in a U-Haul, and we spend probably
The
7
entire
hours
day. Yes.
at Pier 1, and we got
Disassembling shelves.
we got our shelves, we got ladder, we got paper, we got phones,
Everything.
we got
You
display
liquidated.
items.
Oh yeah.
And we filled up an entire, I don't know, was it 17 foot?
Our shelves, like our rolling carts.
Our rolling carts with
tables.
the packing tables.
Yes.
I think we got it all for like $400.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're just like I don't want to say took advantage, but this opportunity was presented, and we were able to basically have everything that we needed to pack and ship our products. We got from there. We moved it in. Husbands helped move everything in, and we got set up, and we went from there.
That's amazing. So just seeing opportunities and being crafty.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, we did a lot of, prior to that space, I think we had asked the universe for, there's a little woo-woo again, sorry. Asked the universe to just help us out with this. And the space appeared because at that time we were knocking on doors saying, can we come and pay the light bill? Everybody's moved out of your building. What's empty? Because there's a lot empty, and we know that it'd be beneficial for because it was at least 6 months into COVID.
Yeah.
Who knew when it was coming back? So we had started that journey a couple months before, and it magically happened.
I totally believe in the woo-woo.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it is meant to be, but also I believe in creating your own luck. And something you said earlier, I mean, if you don't ask, I just saw a statistic. LeBron James has also missed the most amount of shots in the NBA.
Because he's probably made the most.
Yes, exactly. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's right.
So seeing those opportunities and having the confidence in your own idea to say like, no, this is going to be amazing. Yeah. Trust me.
You manifest it. You make it work. You dream it, you visualize it, and you make it happen. It's going to happen.
I come back to the words industry shift because both of you have done that, right? Medical device sales, finance. These worlds are not social media worlds. They are not retail worlds. So you both pivot. You're a really good cold caller. You're asking the universe, but somebody has to do your Instagram. Yeah. And we are not of the generation where like we grew up with the TikTok. And talk to me about that. So because you launch and your social media presence is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's great.
Thanks.
We did. We started it on our own, and for
yes.
And it was like, when do we start? Like how far in advance of actually having a product to sell do you get scary on there? And it's very vulnerable.
Oh, very.
I'm
it
terrified.
feels very vulnerable to put yourself out in the world. Again, we both come from male dominated industries where I have like, I studied and slaved to get like my CFA and my CPA, and I have like my LinkedIn profile. I'm in a suit, and I'm like, oh my God, now I'm changing my profile, and I'm on Instagram talking about how I make soap. Like, who's going to take this seriously? And so, yeah, it is a leap. Kind of held hands, and we jumped off, and we're like, fine, we're going to be vulnerable because you have to be vulnerable to comments and feedback and all the things. And you can tell if you look at our original, like if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you can definitely tell when Lindsay and I did it. And when we met this gal, we were introduced to her through a friend, and she just is, she's just been our savior from a social media perspective. We meet weekly with her. So it's Lindsay and I on stories. Lindsay and I are driving.
Comments.
Yeah, we're driving the copy and the storytelling, but she makes it look pretty. Like, so she'll take the image and she'll plan it for us.
Any of that. Like, even on my Insta stories.
It was taking us so long.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
It still takes us about 2 hours to do a reel. A TikTok, don't even get me started.
Yeah.
So we're working, we're getting better, we're learning.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
It takes a long time.
And, people want you to do all the things, right? So TikTok and Pinterest and Facebook and Instagram and
YouTube.
And so in the beginning, we felt a lot of pressure when we first launched to be everywhere. And it's like, okay, we're just got to like pick a lane right now that we can do, because it's just the two of us at that point in time, like packing, shipping, re-upping our inventory, forecasting, all the website, and we can't be everywhere. I don't know how those youngins do it, but they're faster at it,
They're
right?
faster.
But so we'll probably try and dive into TikTok next year. But I'm like,
we got some good ideas.
Yeah, we got some fun stuff.
It's hard though, as like, I'm 43 years old. I'm like, nobody wants to see me dance.
We're definitely not dancing.
We're really good at dancing.
We're not dancing.
Oh, we're totally dancing. We're going to totally dance.
It's the law.
I tried to make her dance the other day, and I think some reel started dancing. I'm like, Kristi, just how do you feel right now? She's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Goes back to that Enneagram 1 and 3. I was like, you look like an idiot. Yeah. What are you doing?
And I'm like, come on, feel it.
I know, but I think the nice thing about your brand, and this is something I struggle with on a personal level too, is like, you always think, well, people aren't really that interested in me. Like, I'm not that interesting.
No,
and I don't, why would anyone care?
Right.
Yeah.
But the best parts of your social media are when, like, I know that video you're talking about. And when Kristi's in the background, be like,
seriously.
So
But she did look at me with love. Did you see the end? She's like, oh.
Well, that's because you see each other.
I know. She sees me.
And that, to bring up that point too, Shannon. So in the beginning, I distinctly remember back in December and January, we were working with this digital marketing team in New York, and they're very fancy, and they're very good at what they do. They come from like high-end retail, luxury retail, and I just wrestled with this. How do we marry? Lindsay and I are 43 hot mess moms that are like never put on makeup, and we look like hell most days because we're just trying to get this off the ground with this luxury, beautiful product. Like, who's going to buy this? Because do we have to look like what Levant looks like? And it's like, that's okay if you want pretty things and you don't look pretty. Like, it's the way that Levant makes you feel when you use it and when you have it in your home. And so we're like, fine, we kind of gave up. I was like, okay, we got to do our makeup today. We're going to be on stories. And we just kind of gave up, and we're like, we're just going to be who we are, which are hot messes and silly,
but make really fucking great products.
And it turned out that was kind of the best way to do it, is be very authentic.
But I think what you're saying isn't actually true. Like, I think that's the difference of how we view ourselves versus how other people view us, because you can say hot mess, but I'm like, that's bullshit. I call bullshit on that. Because you can't do what you've done and be a hot mess. Like, maybe our definitions of a hot mess are different. Maybe. But I think what you said is so interesting, because I think that there is a disconnect between, are we allowed to have something nice even though we don't look nice all the time?
Yeah, that's right.
Like, I never thought about that until you just said that, but that is a really important thing, because I love having, and you can't see, but I'm pointing to this gorgeous candle that I have lit in my studio right now, which is my basement. But I love the way that it makes me feel. Yeah. It makes me feel bougie when I'm wearing my, fancy dance goes.
I love it.
In my house.
That's awesome.
I'm sitting here with Tracy Erickson of the Collective Group at Compass. Tracy, you are a great listing agent. I've seen a lot of homes that are listed by the Collective Group. Can you tell me a little bit about what's in your listing plan and how it sets the Collective Group apart from other agents?
Absolutely. Shannon, there's so much more that goes into selling a home than just putting a sign in the front yard. And we really pride ourselves on that. One of the first things we'll do is walk through the home with the seller and advise on the best improvements. And then once we decide what type of work that we're going to do to give you the best ROI, you can hand those keys over and we will project manage the entire thing. Once we have your home looking its best, we will get it staged from top to bottom and have our amazing photographers come in and not only take photographs, but also do videos, drone shots, and even a Matterport. Once that's completed and we have it on the market, the marketing is huge. So we push social media advertising very hard. Our goal is always to achieve 10,000 views of your property on all social media platforms. So our commitment is always to our sellers in this hot Seattle market to get the highest dollar possible for their biggest investment.
Tracy, where can people find you?
They can find us at compass.com, or they can find us on Instagram, Tracy Erickson Homes, or feel free to give me a call, 206-251-6351.
So you've launched this amazing product. It's thrilling. It's exhilarating. I want to kind of go back to your why a little bit, because something in your profile, and you did your Thrive interview also, where you speak a little bit about.
And you did your homework.
Yes, you do.
I don't play.
Wow.
But there was something that you said in it, Kristi, I think it was you, about talking about the regret of not doing something. And it made me think, like, regret and joy, even in my own personal experience of starting a little podcast, regret is just as much of a motivator as joy. And I want to hear you talk about that a little bit.
Regret for me is, like, if it's something that I've always wanted to do, then why not just do it? And I think we live in such a wonderful time of life that you can execute on an idea so much easier than you could maybe in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, or whatever. I mean, and you're listening to all these amazing podcasts, and we spent years listening to Guy Raz, How I Built This podcast. I know.
Yeah.
And it was such a motivator. I was like, wait, these are just regular people who had an idea and they were curious and they went after it. And I'm like, well, I can do that. And there's so many tools out there now that allow you to take advantage of having an idea. Shopify, freelance, like web design people, freelance people who can do your design, LinkedIn, like the way that the world is connected now, you can actually like reach out and find people to help you bring your idea to life. So it was at a point where I was like, we turned 40 and it was like, well, I think Lindsay talks about this too in that interview. It was just like, well, what's next? It's like you go to high school and then you go to college and then you get your first job and then you maybe change jobs and then people are like, when are you going to get married? And then you're going to have kids and then you have kids.
Checking the little box.
All the boxes. And I'm like, well, why can't you do something different, like completely different?
There was no next question after that, though.
Yeah. It was now the next thing is just be a grandparent. Like, wait, like there's gotta be something more between then and now.
But I think it's that hunger in between that, what you just said, where it's like, if I don't do this, my life is going to be worse than if I took the risk and did this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, regret is a massive thing for me. I have seen regret. I have felt regret and I've completely visualized it. I've talked about this before, but about 4 years ago, I went to a Tony Robbins seminar and I didn't believe in what he did. And they said, just try it. I think you'd really like it. So it was a 4-day seminar by myself in Los Angeles. And one of the exercises Tony makes you do is you sit in this room of darkness with 10,000 of your best friends and you visualize your life 10 years from today, 5 years from today. And you visualize being in the same spot that you're in today, being unhealthy, I was happy in my job, but being in that same job 10 years from now and wishing that I would have done something different and visualizing what that regret felt like. And I viscerally felt it. I felt sick that, oh my God, in 10 years, I'm going to be in the same job. I'm going to be really unhappy. I'm not going to, the dreams that I really want in my life that I've just spent the last few days visualizing aren't going to happen. And I put myself in my shoes in 10 years from today. And that felt ugly and sad and deep. And that's what regret feels like. So it was really interesting to feel that and visualize it. And from that day on, it was game on. I am changing everything because I do not want that to become a reality. And since then, it has not. Everything that I've done from that day forward has been getting me to the place of visualizing where I did want to go and not feeling that regret.
And I distinctly remember her coming home from that.
That's right.
And like this ball of energy, like coming at me, like, we're doing this. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, we are? Because I am fearful. And, all the fears that are manifesting, just like that feels like too big of a leap. And that's why, when you surround yourself by super positive people. So like having someone like Lindsay, who is not afraid, she's a bulldog and she's just she takes it by the reins and she's like, we're doing this. You're coming with me. Mm-hmm. And you can't even say no. And so I'm like, okay. And then like a week later, I get an LLC notification in the mail from Washington State that she's opened up an LLC.
Surprise.
It's happening. I'm like, okay. So, know who you are as an individual, and it doesn't have to be starting a business, but if you have something that you want to do, and if you tend to be a little bit fearful, then go find people who aren't. Talk to them about what you want to do, and they can help pull you out of your hole of fear, and push you forward.
Talk to me about Gwyneth.
We could spend all day on Gwyneth.
She's just
because you have really, the amount of success. Now, I don't know if there is now a PR team behind you, but you just don't meet Kelly Catrone and Gwyneth Paltrow. It's not like an accidental, oops, Levant fell into her hands.
Yeah.
Well, Kelly was an accident.
Kelly fell into our hands.
She did.
And anybody who watched The Hills knows who this person is that has been tagged in your social media.
Yeah, she's amazing. So Kelly came on board with us around June. Anything Goop related was all Lindsay and her, again, not being afraid and never saying no, as far as getting into Goop. And then our ability to meet Gwyneth, again, I think it goes back to the authenticity and just there was no I think you're like, oh, we're going to meet Gwyneth Paltrow one day.
Yeah. We're going to go to her house.
And the more we
sleep over,
the more you talk about it, the more so we would do silly things on our social. Like we took a selfie with her cookbook and we're like, oh, we had a selfie with Gwyneth, and we tagged her and she DM'd us, and we don't know, is that her assistant DMing us? We don't know if it's really her or not.
She replies back to every DM herself.
But it is her.
It's her.
We confirmed it.
Yes.
But I'll let Lindsay back up and tell the story about how we got into Goop.
So a few years ago, I was at an international conference for my previous role, and I got an email from Goop saying that they had one of their pop-ups in San Francisco, and I happened to be there. And I show up to the pop-up. It's at 10 a.m. Start night. My conference didn't start until later. So I decided to go, and there's a security guard outside, but there's no one. There's a bunch of people inside, but there's no line outside. And I thought, gosh, if this is opening day, 10 a.m., told me to be here, there's no one here. So I go to the security guard. He's like, I'm sorry, closed for a private event. I said, but you guys sent me this email. I have it right here. I flew in to San Francisco for this. For this and something else. I just didn't mention the other else part. And he said, hang on just a sec. So he goes inside for a few minutes, and out comes this woman, this beautiful woman. Her name, it ends up being Blair Lawson. And she worked at Goop. She was, I believe, the CMO at the time of Goop. And she said, I am so sorry. Please come on in. That's completely our air. Come on in. She and I spent about 2 hours. She walked me around the entire pop-up. They had just developed the Goop skincare line. And so we were talking a lot about that, but she was this kick-ass woman who spent her career at LVMH or Louis Vuitton or whatnot, did marketing for them, then Goop, and also Beauty Counter. And we just talked about careers, being moms. And I said, hey, I've got this really cool friend. We've kind of been starting to think about maybe doing a business in cleaning space. Would you be willing to just kind of stay in touch? She said, absolutely. So got her number, and we just kept pinging her, maybe a couple times a year.
This is because you talked your way into a Goop pop-up.
Yes. And she ultimately, once we got our branding guide from Katie, she set up a meeting for us with the, director of buying for home, started getting advice from them about, should we do plastic or glass? And I'll give them the shout out. They said we're to go glass. They were Goop is very much on the forefront of changing things for the better. And so we're really glad that they gave us that advice, and we just kept staying along with them. And then,
well, let me just interject there too. So this was 3 years ago. So the second that Lindsay got her hands on the concepts, it was literally in a PowerPoint presentation from Katie. She called Goop and was like, I want to come down and pitch this idea. And Blair introduced us to her to the home buyer, and she flew to Santa Monica and sat in the offices and pitched something on paper. This is 3 years before we had no formula. We didn't have a cent. We had an idea. And, of course, I'm sure you didn't tell her how little we had to go on.
Of course not.
But
I had this PowerPoint. Yeah. And it's amazing. Yeah. And I'm amazing.
Exactly.
So she wrangled her way in to get a sit-down meeting with this gal. And then to back up, Goop, when we dreamed in Cabo, it was like, well, where is this going to sell?
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, okay, who's gonna believe in this and buy this? And we're like, number one was we got to first get in Goop. Goop can buy off on, like, we can go through their rigorous process of approving a product for their platform. That's a huge win for us. So let's understand what they would want. And so that's when she went down there and she pitched the idea.
So that's really interesting that you started off with that intention where Goop was kind of
they're the pinnacle. Yeah. They're the Barneys of
clean living,
clean beauty, clean lifestyle. And not being perfect at it too. Just very much
well, I guess I'm just sitting back listening to this and I'm hearing so much manifested intention, right? Where this is not, I mean, a lot of this is not accidental at all because this is what you thought about. So, I mean, I'm to everybody listening who's thinking about starting a business, this is not like you guys concocted a lemon essential oil mix. This is very thoughtful. This is very intentional. This was discipline. This was the discipline to sock away your salary for 2 years with the hope of starting this business. This was not like, this was not a happy accident.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And I think I really want to make that clear to everybody out there, because when something looks easy, it's not ever.
There's not been a single thing that's been easy about this, but it's been very rewarding. And there was intention in that. And I think that's what helped. Lindsay and I were 20 years into our career. So we had a lot of, we knew how to be disciplined and what it would take to bring something to market, even though we had no retail experience whatsoever, product experience, but we knew that there needed to be steps and a plan in place to get there. And so Goop was always on that list, and we didn't have exactly what they needed, but we were going to get in the office, and then it was just staying in touch. It was just constantly dripping. So like in July, when we were on their website, a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's so great. How'd you get in Goop?" It took 3 years. Yeah. That's how we got in Goop. We stayed in touch, and
it took 3 years of like taking direction.
Yeah,
correct.
We listened.
We did.
Yeah.
They knew they know the market better than anybody, and what they wanted, we were going to make. We were going to do it because we knew that once it was signed off with their audience and with them, that we had something that we could really bring to more people and spread the word.
So every business starts with an exit strategy also, ladies. Talk to me about that intentionality.
It's a great point. I think right now it's for Kristi and I, it's really focusing on building this awesome brand, building it. Our mission from the beginning has always been about getting more clean products in people's hands. And there's a reason why only 7% of the entire cleaning audience uses plant-based cleaning products. And there's a reason why that's going to be growing in the next 5 years to about 20%. So for us, it's about filling the void in the market and getting these products that actually work and that are, that bring a wonderful experience to your home and look beautiful and elevate everything in your daily chore life to being better. So right now for us, it's truly about focusing on doing that and building the most incredible team. We have a couple employees right now, and we are in the weeds of helping everybody flourish and be happy. And who knows what the end's going to be, at this point. But for us, it's building a successful company and getting more products in people's hands.
Yeah. And with that, I mean, the goal would always is, we bring something out in the world. You want people to love it. And like, I can't even tell you how much joy it gives us. Like that people love this product. It's like someone's like, oh my God, we were right. Like we had this idea. A lot of people poo-pooed it, like who's going to spend that much money on a cleaning product? Who cares about cleaning products? And it's like, oh, well, actually it turns out a lot of people do. They care about their home. They want pretty things, they want to feel good, and this makes you feel good. So right now that we have this, we call them the Levant OGs. It's our original gangsters from this first year that are buying from us, and they're buying again, and they're writing testimonials and reviews, and it's people all across the country.
They're so loyal,
and they're so lovely, and they call us on the phone, and we pick up, and we love it.
So awesome.
And now we have this, now it's texting, right? So now we text with people, and we have getting exchanges back and forth, and it's with Lindsay and I behind it, we love talking because we want to hear, okay, what do you love? What do you wish we had? What do you don't like? How can we get better? And so in these first couple of years, we're trying to build the brand and so it's just important to continue to bring good products out there. And yeah, we don't want to work our whole lives. So ultimately, we would hope someday that somebody would have interest in this because we've proven that there's a market for high performing, beautiful cleaning products, something that nobody's looked at. This shouldn't be walking down the grocery store aisle, spending $1.99 and having essentially crap ingredients that you're washing your counters and your dishes with. Like, yeah, let's change that mindset.
I am a total convert, and I never thought I would be converted.
Aw, thank you.
Do
Do you know how much joy that brings us? That fills our bucket. I remember when people started using our products, we're like, they like our products.
Yeah.
They like what we did.
Yeah.
And that's still
like more than just our parents.
More than just, yes.
They're like,
more than just, it was more than just our moms.
We're
like, and to hear you say that is just
like I said,
us.
so I got gifted my first set for, I think, my birthday, and Annie brought a bag over and she was like, you got to try them. Like, this is Kristi's company. And I was like, wait, what? Like, I had no idea that you had been doing this.
Yeah.
And so I started trying them, and I actually called Annie and I was like, this shit is incredible. Like, it really works.
That doesn't get old. Thank you.
It does. It doesn't get old for me to use them. Like, every time I use them, it's great. So I can't even pretend that I am impartial.
Thanks.
So, but for everybody listening, because I think there are so many people that are on the cusp of having a great idea, not sure how to execute it. I mean, being now in the positions of being able to mentor people, what do you say?
That's a great question. I think for Kristi and I, there were a couple people, not a couple, there were quite a few people that said no to meeting with us. And both Kristi and I said, we are here today because of people saying yes to us, and we want to do our best to be able to give back in certain ways. So if there's ever a time that people are asking, we'll try to find time. We can't do it for everybody, but we're trying our best. Sorry, you asked a question.
Well,
and I just went off.
And I think you go, like, what we tell people is just to take a baby step.
Yeah.
It feels from the time we had concept until the time we launched. Yeah, it took Lindsay and I 3 years. It doesn't mean it's going to take you 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's your journey that you have to go on. But just take a baby step. Doesn't cost any money, or maybe $50 to create an LLC.
Yeah.
It
became real.
Doing something like that, seeing it on paper that you created an LLC, even, we didn't.
It forces you to do something else with it.
Yeah. You're like, okay, and I've done this. Now what's the next step? And then it might be Googling for 3 months and going to the ends of the earth to try and find somebody that can help you with your concept. But there's so many avenues out there. Like I said, like, we live in such an amazing time to take an idea from concept to fruition. There's people out there that, and like I said, the most people will say yes, especially when you're just in this infancy and you're not a threat or a burden on their time. We'll say yes to helping you.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And I think it's easy to say, believe it, you can achieve it, but there's actually real things that you have to do.
Yeah.
And discipline is absolutely one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's why, like, this idea is like, why cleaning products? And we go back to having passion behind it, because there are so many lows in the journey, or self-doubt, or like broken products, or, ingredients that won't come in for 6 months, and you're like, when is this ever going to happen?
Failing tests.
We failed our preservative.
We failed tests a bunch.
Yeah. It took us 1.5 years to get these formulas right. They kept failing tests because it's really hard to formulate what we did. And it feels really low. So if you have a passion behind what you're doing, that'll push you up out of your lows. So I always recommend it doesn't have to be full passion, but you gotta want to bring to the world what your idea is.
That is really important to point out the lows that you guys have been through, because I think it's easy to focus on the Gwyneths and harder to focus on the failed tests.
So much self-doubt. And that's why I've always enjoyed having a business partner because she'll
We can do it together.
Yeah.
We can be low together.
Yeah, but no, you a lot of times will pull me out of my self-doubt spirals because I'm very analytical and I'll stare at the numbers all day.
And you'll do the same for me too. I mean, when I'm in my spirals, she'll say, Linz, let's put you on a timeline here and let's get going. Let's move forward and move. Cause I moving forward is really important too. So that's where we work so well in tandem. And it's not all, rainbows and beautiful unicorns in a partnership too. That is really hard. We are a married couple. But what makes our marriage work is that we found someone that fills our gaps and our buckets, and we communicate when there's an issue. She's really good about, I don't like to disappoint people. She's really good about sensing like, hey, Linz, what's going on? And she pulls it out of me. We're very used to being in, like we said, we both worked in male dominated industries. You duke it out and then you're done. So that is so important. You have to move on. And I think that's where we're, I say brilliant in that area. We do a really good job moving on. When it's an issue, you talk about it and then you move on. Yeah. And there's no way we could have gone forward. I have chills just thinking about you. Yeah. I mean, she's just, I found the most incredible partner for me. And it's a great, I'm happy.
Yeah. It's a good, cause it is a marriage. I don't recommend, I don't know what it's like to start a business by yourself. I think it would be very lonely. But having a business partner, you have to learn to compromise and continue to move forward and move on. There's no time for resentment because it doesn't help anything. So you gotta figure it out and you gotta move on. And again, it goes back like the Enneagrams. Like you have to appreciate that people think differently. And they're not going to be like you. And so it's like, okay, she's thinking about this completely different than me. And trying to see it through her lens and see it through my lens and figure out how to marry that and move forward.
Those are the sounds of maturity though.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think you would have been able to do this 20 years ago?
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. No.
God, I was like, so.
I thought I was so cool.
I did too.
Yeah, so smart.
I was definitely pretty cocky and, and very corporate ladder driven, early in my 20s. And I don't want to say I was cutthroat, but I kind of had sights on what that next, and then it wasn't satisfying to climb that corporate ladder. I was like, this is awful.
Yeah. As it turns out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that is, to me, and we can end on this note, but in thinking about making pivots during a difficult point, I do think it's important to like honor the fact that, we're not 20 anymore, but these decisions and that courage that you get and that experience cold calling, you may not have been able to do that 20 years ago, right? The visibility of knowing, well, I'm not going to be devastated if somebody says no anymore. I would have been 20 years ago.
I mean, I got slammed in the face so many times that no to me means, oh, this is just not an opportunity, but it's just let's figure this out. We got to find a solution here. And if that means me walking away, that means me walking away. And that's okay too.
And that's the best position to be in any negotiation.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, I wish you two all the success in the world. I was just sitting here thinking, I need to find somebody who looks at me the way Lindsay and Kristi look at each other. Your partnership is beautiful and it comes out in your products. I am watching you from afar and I feel so proud. I feel so proud of two women who have made it happen. It's inspiring and it's awesome. And I think we can all learn from your vulnerability and your experience. So thank you for giving all of us
Shannon,
that.
This has been so much fun.
It's great.
I wish to really give a shout out to our communities, the Northeast Seattle and the Madison Park communities too. Like these, and then women in general. Holy moly.
Men. We've got some men leaders.
We got a lot of men, but yeah, our communities have rallied and supported us in ways. And it's that organic growth that has been insane. And I wish we could just hug everybody.
Yeah. There's not a woman in this journey that we can say hasn't helped us. No, they've been so supportive and it's just, we feel so much gratitude and you included. So thank you so much for having us.
Well, thanks for coming on. I know your schedules are crazy, but I am a huge rabid fan.
Oh, thank you.
It's embarrassing, actually.
I love it. Yeah. Just share it. Share the joy
Well,
with us.
this is the point,
thank
sharing it with everybody. So tell the people where they can find Levant.
Levant, you can find us online at levantcollective.com. That's LAVANT, collective. And so, you know, the Levant is French to clean or to wash. For any of your French listeners out there, they probably already knew that.
Yep, they probably knew that.
Levant Collective, and then
Goop.com.
Goop.com.
And you are global at this point, no?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
That is on the sites for the next couple of years to
Okay.
get out internationally for sure. I think Goop's it does Europe.
Yep. And Sarah
Canada.
Alexander
Oh, yeah.
.com does
Yeah.
as well.
Yep. It's all on there. Sarah Alexandra.
Yeah.
And I will have all of their information in my show notes also, but please follow them on Instagram. You two are highly entertaining.
Thank you.
But cannot thank you enough for your time.
Oh, thanks, Shannon.
Thanks so much for having us.
I am so full of gratitude that these ladies took time out of their schedules to sit down and chat with me. Kristi and Lindsay are making it happen for themselves, and I could not be prouder to share this conversation with the world. This is what I want our future to look like, with leadership like this at the forefront. I hope this season will continue to inspire you. My guest lineup is pretty incredible, and the stories I'm sharing are all about resilience and inspiration. I've gotten to sit down with Emily Churkin, the screen time consultant, who's also appeared on the Today Show and Good America, and now this podcast. We talk about how her niche has supported parents in the pandemic. Erin Skipley, owner of Contour and Ink, sat down with me to talk about her pivot from being a top LA makeup artist to owner of a Beverly Hills beauty brand dedicated to restoration and empowerment. I sat down with UW professor of sports medicine, Dr. Ashwin Rao, to discuss his efforts in expanding diversity and inclusion at one of the top sports medicine programs in the country. These individuals all exemplify what it means to not give up when things get difficult. They've shown me that despite the world being shut down, the human spirit thrives and pushes to serve. Stay tuned, because season 4 is going to be good.